So, just like many of you, I noticed a bulk of video releases from top tier tech reviewers, MKBHD, Dave2D, Linus, and so on. And here's what I think. From the gamer's perspective, I like the Snapdragon 865 Plus because it's the overclocked version of the latest flagship chipset. I also like the 1080p screen because I don't think most people would notice the difference between it and the 1440 screen. I have not yet seen a 4K screen, so I'm gonna hold my opinion until I do. I like the 1080p screen because it looks very similar to that of a 1440p screen, and you save battery life. As a consumer, one of the important things to keep in mind is that you can't replace the battery, or should I say, it's really hard to replace the battery unless you're like super tech savvy, jerry-rig everything and opening up the phone and putting everything back together. A good point that Dave mentioned in his video is that you have the option to slow down the charge speed so that the battery lasts longer throughout the life of the phone. This is something that I have not yet seen other phones do or marketed. I think this is really important for people that are willing to shell out the $1,000 or so on a phone. In another video where Travis MCP did the poll, and most people would often keep their phones until it breaks, and I actually plan on doing the same thing with the Note 9 because even though the battery is showing its age, it's still good enough for me to use the phone throughout the entire day and then charging the phone at night before I go to sleep. Having the battery charge feature to improve battery life is something that honestly I think every flagship smartphone should have. Then again, most of them probably won't do it because it's part of planned obsolescence, so the manufacturers are hoping that by the time when the next smartphone comes out you would buy it, and for the flagship space that's pretty much every 6 months, so here's hoping you're rich enough to be on the bleeding edge of smartphones. For the rest of us, most people would use their smartphone until it breaks, and I'm surprised from some of the comments that Travis got. Apparently most people break their smartphones within 2 years, which is pretty short because I have my Note 9 for 2 years and it's going strong. I have my V20 for almost 4 years and the phone still works. I mean, it's really slow and it overheats a lot, but it does make a pretty good travel phone. I'll go more into that in another video. I was hoping that Asus would have expandable storage because that was one of the deal breaker that stopped me from buying the Rog phones in the beginning. To me, it's not fair that there's a dual SIM slot and there isn't a micro SD slot, because I have seen phones that use the other slot to act as both a SIM and a micro SD slot, so this kinda sucks. I guess they're doing this so that you would spend more money to buy the phone with a bigger storage since you can't expand it. This is a trick that I think Apple have done ever since probably the beginning. Expandable storage was also a deal breaker that stopped me from buying a OnePlus phones because I have a 256 gig micro SD and my phone is 128 gigs and I only have like 50 gigs of storage left overall. I mean, most people wouldn't need this much storage, but if you're a retro emulation gamer like me, then you would need the storage unless there's a way for emulators to read ROMs from cloud storage. If anyone's watching this and you know that that's a possibility, let me know. Another thing could be an issue for me is the weight. It's 240 grams, which is really heavy because my Note 9 is heavy, and that's only 201 grams. So one of the things that I don't want in my future phone is to have it be heavy because I have a clip on my Xbox One controller and I don't want that thing to feel top heavy, so if I do get a phone in the future, I do want something to be lighter. One of the things that I like, and there isn't really like a hole punch or a notch, like I like how it just looks like the Note 9. Like there are bezels, but it fits the phone really well and it's just a lot better than that whole punch and bezel kind of thing that most of the modern smartphones are doing. Another little thing that wasn't mentioned in the videos that I watch are the screen protector. Like, does it come with one? Or would I have to buy it separately? And that was the one thing that I didn't like about my Note 9. Like, I have to buy a tempered glass, and my dad's S10 Plus has a screen protector built into the box, which is nice. Back then I used to care for cameras, but then I actually got a camera for YouTube and I stopped caring for cameras. So whether or not it's good doesn't really bother me that much. But if you are spending $1,000, then yeah, you would want the camera to be good. In fact, I think you would want everything to be good because $1,000 is a lot of money to spend on a phone. So one of the things that most reviewers won't mention are updates because they would often have new phones to review and the cycle would repeat. So I don't know about Asus and updates. I'm hoping at least it would last for 2 years with software and then another 2 years for security patches. That was something that Travis mentioned in one of his videos. I was hoping it's true for Asus. As for the air triggers, I don't care for it because I'm using a controller, but if you don't have a controller, then I'm hoping they're good. Like most reviewers are saying that they are improved from the second phone. There's no headphone jack because there's a fan that comes with the phone that has a headphone jack, so I'm guessing there's a compromise. Personally, in the beginning, I really care for headphone jacks because my old car didn't have Bluetooth, but my new one does, so I don't care for it as much because I would often just listen to music in my car and that's pretty much it. If you have a lot of old wire headphones, this could be a deal breaker for you. But if you buy a lot of wireless headphones, then it shouldn't really matter to you, so it's really up to who you are. There's this cool looking case that comes out of the phone and I thought I mentioned that, and I think it pretty much about wraps it up. Overall, I like the phone, but I still don't think it's worth the jump from my Note 9. I still don't feel like the upgrades are night and day when, like, let's say if I were to jump from a V20 to my Note 9, I feel like that's night and day. So really, it depends on where you are in your phone situation, whether or not this could be worth it. So let's say if I was just having my V20 and jumping from the V20 to the ROG 3 phone, I would be placing the order and I would be doing videos talking about how awesome it is. So hit the subscribe, the bell, like, comment for more content. You guys stay awesome.